My name is Sarah Anderson, and I'm here today with Gretchen Clay asking her some questions about her celiac disease. So, Gretchen, I wanted to ask if you could describe to me your understanding of what it means to suffer from celiac disease.
Celiac disease to me is when your body can't digest and break down gluten. So if you have this, your body doesn't get nutrients since it can't digest it. So once you stop eating gluten for a while and accidentally ingest it, there are bad side effects.
Okay, so when did you learn that you suffer from celiac disease, and what were some of the warning signs that led you to go and seek help?
I learned I had celiac disease in 7th grade once I got a biopsy, but in 6th grade I started to get sick and was super weak. I actually broke my wrist because I was so weak from not getting any nutrients in my body. So it wasn't accepting gluten, and then my throat actually started to slowly close around 6th grade into 7th grade. Then in 7th grade, since my sister also has celiac disease, I got a blood test and then to a biopsy, and they realized that's what it was.
So what happens when you eat gluten? I know it differs in severity for everyone, and it isn't the same. So for you, what does it look like?
When I eat gluten, I get sick probably around an hour after I eat it. I start to get really hot and have heat flashes. Then I get sick to my stomach with flu-like symptoms and also have extremely bad pains in my stomach. It ends up all coming out, but I really can't move the rest of the day. The effects of eating gluten are definitely different for everyone, as some people, they just have the external version where they get rashes on their body, or some people have to get hospitalized and can't even be in the same room as gluten.
So since you've been diagnosed, have you ever consumed any gluten, and was it purposeful?
I've consumed gluten, yes. Sometimes it's just cross-contamination after I eat out at a restaurant, and I just feel sick after, and I get super hot, but don't end up throwing up or anything, but I just know that I definitely consumed it. And other times, on a vacation I had last year, I ate something that I'm still not sure what it was, but I was sick the rest of the day. But it's never a purposeful thing for me to eat gluten because it's super painful, so I would never do that.
I can imagine. That sounds awful. Do you feel like celiac disease is misunderstood in any way?
I think that some people think celiac disease is a choice. If, for example, a person orders something in a restaurant that's gluten-free, they assume the person is doing it for a good lifestyle, but in reality, celiac disease is definitely real and affects them if they do actually start eating it at a restaurant.
Why do you think that the celiac diagnosis is becoming more common?
So my sister got diagnosed with celiac disease at the beginning of her college years, and she's 35 years old now. So that was in the beginning stages of when this started to become a diagnosis for people. So I think now it's super common since it's been around for so many years. And there's also so many more options at restaurants and stores, so it's just generally more common to be gluten-free, even if it's not a diagnosis.
Speaking of, what are some of your favorite gluten-free substitutes or companies and brands, or maybe just restaurants?
I think the main substitutes for flour, which is gluten, are corn, rice flour, and cauliflower, which you can have corn tortillas or pizza with cauliflower crust. My favorite companies are Udi's, Char, Glutino, Annie's, and a lot more. And it kind of depends on what grocery store you're at and what brands they hold in that grocery store. My favorite restaurants aren't necessarily specifically gluten-free, but just have gluten-free options available. So I like Chipotle and Blaze Pizza, Dominic's, and then mostly all Mexican restaurants that have corn tortillas like El Rey or El Vez. And my ultimate favorite is Front Street Cafe.
So what are some questions that you're tired of hearing from people?
I think there's some questions that I find kind of silly to ask, but some of them are if milk is gluten-free, which I feel is kind of self-explanatory. And then what would be the one thing I would eat if I wasn't gluten-free? What's one food you miss the most? And then some people will be like, don't you miss bread? Which I think is kind of a question I'm probably tired of hearing.
Yeah, I would be tired too. Do you have any plans to undergo any forms of treatment in the future? And, like, is there any treatment that you can undergo to cure yourself in any way?
It's funny because I actually got upset one day that I couldn't eat gluten, so I signed up for a bunch of trials to try and find something to cure celiac disease. But I won't be doing any of those probably, but hopefully one day they find something. I know that they're in different trials of working with pills and stuff to take, but I don't think it's coming out anytime soon.
So we're nearing the end of the interview, so I'm going to ask you one last question. Can you tell me the best and worst parts of having celiac disease?
I think that the best part of celiac disease is that it's definitely a healthier lifestyle and I eat better for my body. And the worst part is when everyone around me is eating and all my friends could pick something super easy if we're out at a restaurant or just walking around the streets in the city. They can just find something and eat that, but I can't do that, and I have to look things up or make sure that it's gluten-free.
Well, thank you for helping me today, Gretchen. I hope that we raised some awareness about celiac disease, and I hope you continue to conquer this disease as you've shown me you have today.
Thank you.